week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is The Magic Mike Show, episode 369. Nice.
On 420, way, huzzah!
Hey, it's like we did this on purpose. It really was an accident. Mike is going to be driving to Keeneland tomorrow on Thursday because he's got the Grade 1 Gamble on Saturday. So we were like, hey, we'll do the episode a day early. And then I realized this morning when either you or Jared texted me, I didn't realize it was 420. I was like, well, it is kind of tradition to be live on 420 for the Magic Mike Show. So apologies to Greg and to everybody else that we kind of surprised at the last second, but we're live. We're talking Keeneland Saturday, and I can't wait to get the Keeneland Wednesday taste out of my mouth.
Yeah, that was a tough sequence, not going to lie. Pick 6 carries, the pick 5 paid like 12 grand, something like that. Pick 4 ended up paying 1,600. Some pretty bad favorites, some interesting rides. When you're lone speed, you kind of want to be on the lead, and IRAD wasn't really interested in that early. That was a little surprising, but what can you do? And then you have we get a nice price on a maker home in the first one. You have the Romans in the second that gets home at a price. I'm not getting to that 4 in the last leg anyway, so I'm not overly frustrated.
I had it. It was on my ticket.
There you go. And Camp Hope made sense. Hell of a bob for that horse in the ninth there at Keeneland. It's a tough day, but I will say speed seemed to be a little bit better today on the dirt. And turfs, you still do not want to be on the lead. Those are the kind of my takeaways from it. So I'm still handicapping with that in mind. We'll see if that changes the next couple of days leading up to Saturday in the Grade 1 Gamble. If anyone's going to be there, let me know. I'll be on track Friday in the grandstand, Saturday in the Phoenix room. So hit me up, drop me a DM on Twitter, and see if we can grab beer or something.
Yeah, I will say it is a wonderful feeling as a Racing Dudes member when you get recognized at the racetrack. It's a little odd when you get recognized away from the racetrack when it happens, but we still appreciate that. Charles B mentioning the 5, the Lacey Gaudette horse. The reins broke on the horse. I didn't see that. All I saw was that the horse completely, like, Irad didn't really push him ever. That makes sense. Yeah, it was an extremely weird ride. I still say there's a reason, Chad's making the right move with Pratt overall, but Chris says as a holder of a 5.9 exact in the last, I need a shower and a cigarette. That was the 4 got you on both. The 5 was leading until the end. The 9 was second until the end, and the 4 came up. Chris, I'm sorry. I don't wish that. My ticket was already blown. I didn't need that horse.
It wasn't even Mike Maker that got you, Chris.
Chris, that was great. I will say Chris was making fun of Maker on the show for the Wednesday show, and then Maker was 3 for 3 to start the day. So Maker just a little cold. Chris was right. Maker was cold. Maker just figured out what ails him, which Chris also said that you thought you had figured out. And congratulations, Mike, you had.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. It would have been nice if we could string something together, or you didn't have the absolute ridiculous 6 horse in the second race that won at like 30-something to 1 that blew everything up in the early pick 5. Other than that, it would have been great. And obviously, we had a tough break there early, too, for you in the 4th race. We had Pratt on top of a horse that we like, Mendez, who's out like very good with 2-year-olds in California, as 1 for 1 going into today with Pratt aboard. Then you see him send out this horse, and the 3 just doesn't break a lick. And the word was out that was a good horse, too. And just didn't break.
Okay, so first of all, he didn't. I don't know if it showed on TV because I can't remember, but he slammed into the gate beforehand. So he split his lip open. Horse is debuting, splits his lip open. He's on the rail. The gates break open, and he literally left turn it. And Pratt's like almost out of the reins trying to steer him back out, and he still tried. So the horse has talent. It just was 2-year-olds breaking from the rail. Like going into it, I was like, the one problem, man, he's on the rail. It's okay. Mendez will have him ready. Nope, even Mendez Magic can't.
And it's interesting. Keeneland, it's not as big of an issue on the rail going 4.5 because they have that like little half turn. You actually want to be in the 1 through 4 posts because you have a big advantage because everyone on the outside is going to be 2, 3, 4 wide because the turn pretty much is there. It just starts. And so the 1 post isn't as bad going 4.5 at Keeneland, although it's still not a great spot to be in your first time out.
You know, it is a great place to be right here on the Magic Mike Show with Mike and I. We're looking at Keeneland's Saturday late pick 4. We've got 2 graded stakes races. Mike, I went really shallow. I haven't looked at your ticket yet, but I went pretty shallow with mine. So we'll see what you did with yours. I wish we'd gone shallow for the Wednesday one because we had like 20 minutes to do it. And yet we went both really deep in that spot.
I wish we got to avoid 2 Emmys because I'm really sick of talking about 2 Emmys, but here we are.
We're here for 2 Emmys Day. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, we are talking Keeneland Saturday late pick 4. Let's get into it, buddy. Riders up. Before I forget, too, if you missed the show or if you saw the show last time, the last show, rather than Magic Mike Show, Mike has an over the rails segment that we're going to do up a stable up at the end. So we meant to do it for the show on Monday. We ran out of time for it, but a race from last Saturday at Keeneland, very key moving forward. So after we get done with this, make sure you stay tuned because we're going to have some great information. But we are kicking off Saturday's late pick 4, Mike, with race 7. This is a field of 11 older fillies and mares plus an MTO going a mile and 16th on the turf and 3X level. I will say, because we're doing this a day early, if you're watching us or listening to us, please bear with us. We don't have official posts yet because we have coupled entries in both the first and the last legs. So Mike and I might get some numbers wrong. Pay close attention to the names we say. And then, of course, this is why you should follow us on Twitter for our final tickets. But, Mike, where are you going to go on top in this race?
Oh, man, I'm a sucker for Cherie DeVoe, and I'm going to continue with that trend here. The number 5 Gams Mission, I think, looks awfully good in this spot. I mentioned that you don't want to be on the lead. This horse is definitely not going to be forwardly placed. Should sit somewhere mid-pack in this spot, and it has tactical speed if needed going longer. We saw that at Saratoga and the Saratoga Oaks Invitational going mile and 3/16, so sitting second behind the pace. Last time out at Fairgrounds, I thought this horse actually ran really well. Lost to She Can't Sing. Look, She Can't Sing had a dream Fairgrounds. Like, absolutely unbelievable in those 2 races and took a step forward off of that one. So I'm not going to hold losing to She Can't Sing against Gams Mission. Additionally, second off the layoff for Gams Mission. And those who don't know Cherie DeVoe, she was Chad Brown's assistant trainer before going out on her own about 2 years ago. If you look at her percentages, they're kind of ridiculous. 26% second off the layoff, 19% on turf, 19% in routes, 26% in allowances, 25% overall. She gets the most out of her horses. She places her horses well. Second off the layoff here, I think, is a great opportunity for Gams Mission to take a step forward. This is a daughter of Noble Mission. We know how much I like Noble Mission. I think second out here, you're going to see a nice step forward. And if you look at who she's been running against, too, that's the other big part of this, right? Her losses have come to Santa Barbara, Cone Lima, Plumlee, and She Can't Sing. I mean, that's a pretty darn good list in your 4 losses, and she's won 4 times. So she likes to win, or she loses to very good horses. I don't think there's any of those runners in here. I'll take Gams Mission on top.
Yep, my top pick too. The only bad effort, and you could say that she's had, was the Saratoga Oaks, and she lost to Cone Lima because they were like, well, listen, we couldn't beat Cone Lima last time running our normal running style with all on Oaks. Let's try just chasing her. We'll chase from second, and then she just falls apart because you were chasing Cone Lima when she was lone speed. So even that, not a bad effort. And then on debut, she loses to Aunt Pearl. Aunt Pearl goes off to be that she wins that race, then the Jessamine, and then the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly Mare Turf. So then this horse comes back from losing to Aunt Pearl and wins 3 straight races, including a grade 3. Yeah, I love this horse on top. I love that the Biscuit's going to keep riding with her here. Where do you want to go next?
We're going to have a nice little a group press ticket here. So we're going to play a $5 ticket. We'll single Gams Mission in this spot. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to go with the 7. Flip it next. This is another horse that I think is going to take a nice step forward here. First time out is a 4-year-old. The race is really, really fit. And I love what Victoria Oliver did with this horse once it started winning. So you see a win at 1.25 miles at Ellis, gets a 77 buyer, steps right up to a stakes race off of that. And it took 4 races to break the maiden. Again, faced some pretty good horses, including Demodog, before breaking the maiden, but then breaks the maiden 3rd time out on turf, goes right into $100,000 stakes, wins that over Caldy, steps up into $150,000 stakes, wins that over Invincible Gal, and then steps all the way up to the QE2 Cup, which, oh, by the way, had Shasta Sara in there. So tough race to win. I think this is an aggressive spot first off the layoff. Victoria Oliver, 11% first off the layoff. I don't love it, but I don't mind it. Bejarano is one of those jockeys that she often goes to with her better horses. I think this is an aggressive placement here, first time out, and I think that Flippin's going to be ready to go. And if we're able to handle the distance, which ironically is funny to say is the one thing I'm concerned about, think a mile and 16th might be a little bit too short. This might be a horse you want next out, not this out, if you do stretch out next time. But I think has a ton of talent. I think could take a step forward. And the breeding on this one is absolutely immaculate too. Tap it out of an Empire Maker mare. So should be able to handle the turf course, run all day, should be able to fire right away. So I'm going to go with Flippant as my other must-use horse in here, even though we're going to single games mission on the $5 ticket.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, including I think it's a little too aggressive and a little too short. This race I think came up a little tougher than maybe they were thinking. It is N3X and it's Keeneland, so you're going to get good horses, but we're both picking a grade 3 winner on top. So a little too tough for me for this, but I think especially next out and maybe go a mile and an 8th, this is going to be a great setup for her. My next choice, I'm going to go with the 3 Sweet Enough. We've got an unknown here. We got a new shooter coming in from Europe, and the horse was with John Gosden and his son Thaddy. And if you're not familiar with European racing, getting a horse over from John Gosden is like if you're on the East Coast and you're getting a horse from the West Coast that was with Richard Mandela, or like going east to west with the Bill Mott horse. Like, the horse was well taken care of. The horse was properly spotted, but everything was handled properly with this horse before it gets to your care. Roger Atfield, 4 starts so far, at least when the PPs I had were made. He's got 4 starts, 1 winner in 2 seconds. And by the way, that win was the grade 1 Maker's Mark mile. Like, he's doing pretty good at Keeneland so far. Maybe that's what enticed Irad to jump aboard. Maybe it was a different reason, but I love the fact that Irad is going to be riding in here. Horse was a 2-time stakes winner in Europe. But I have 3 concerns. Number 1, first time North America, always a major test, right? You never know what's going to happen. Number 2, 2 prior starts off the bench in the past, both of them not great. Number 3, all 3 of her wins, they came while either leading or pressing, and the turf course still not playing great to speed. Between now and Saturday, maybe that changes. She's also, I think, if she gets her normal running style in Europe, which was to press or to set the pace, she might be lone speed. So I'm going to take a shot on her, but there are a lot of question marks, and if the price comes out and she's pretty short, I wouldn't hate you if you don't want to use her at all.
Yeah, I had an issue with the fact that she was a short favorite in 2 of those 3 wins too. Like, how often do you see 80 cents on the dollar favorite in Europe, right? That usually that is a very, very much the best type horse. And I think that's really what you saw there in the second win, which was also a handicap win, which means she was carrying, I think, probably high weight in that spot because she's carrying 130 plus. Yeah. And those are just different races than what you see here in the States. And so I look at those in a little bit different light sometimes when I'm looking at European horses. And in this case, I don't love what I see from the 3 Sweet Enough. And I do agree with you. I think this horse is taking money. Because Irad's up, I think this horse is going to be one of the favorites. And I feel like, as you mentioned, this came up tough. And this is a tough spot to debut on this course in the 3-hole, going 2 turns versus 1 turn, which a lot of what her races were over there in Europe. If you look at those distances, rarely you're going to see a 2-turn mile or 2-turn 7 furlongs in Europe. So I have a lot of concerns just around that aspect of it as well. I think this is just a lot of new things all at once. I think the horse is good. I think it's a relatively, like, if I'm wrong and this horse is 21 morning line, yeah, let's chuck her in there for fun. But like, if we're going to get sub 5 to 1, sub 4 to 1, that just to me seems a little bit short against this field. My other horse I'm going to use is going to be the 6 horse, Take Charge Row. It's a 5-year-old out of the Brian Lynch barn. You get Saez up. He's rode her the last 3 times. This one for me wants to be on the turf, and we saw that ran really well first time out. Ended up getting a career best 84 buyer first time out as a 5-year-old. Then was taken off the turf. The last race, I'm just drawing a line through. It was a grade 2 race. The horse was 7 to 1. Rated okay on the inside, just kind of fell apart a little bit. I think the mile and an 1/8 might have been a little bit too long for what this horse really wanted to do. Cutting back to a mile and a 16th today, where this horse is 2 for 2. We're experienced over the Keeneland turf course. Ran second here off a layoff back in October 2020. So I think everything kind of fits there. And they're just, the numbers all make sense for this horse to run well. And we've talked about how there's limited speed in this spot. I think Take Charge Row trips out. And we saw a couple horses today trip out on that turf course, sitting right behind the leader or right in that second pack, be able to get the job done toward the inside. I think you're going to see Take Charge Row right behind the speed, make the first move around the final turn, and have a chance to lead them into the stretch. I think she's talented enough to win if she's able to do that. And so because of the trip and the placement and the fact that I'm getting Saez, I'm going to put Take Charge Row on the ticket and go 5, 6, 7.
Don't hate it. I left her off because that last race, the Hillsborough, I'm still scratching my head about what happened. I mean, it was her first time trying stakes companies, grade 2, and Bleecker Streets we think is going to be a pretty good horse for Chad Brown. But, she'd been progressing nicely along the way. So it makes sense that she comes back to this spot. Let me ask you this, because 3 of her last 5 races, she was favored. So other than you take out the Hillsborough, she's been favored 3 of her last 4. Do you think this is the favorite? Do you think she's a really short price? Where's she going to be?
Oh, I think she's 8 to 1.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm getting. I mean, I expect the Keeper of Time, the one entry, the 1-1A to be your favorite. I hear you in Keeper of Time, specifically because of Keeper of Time, and I'm not a big fan of Keeper of Time. And so because of that, I'm going to kind of stray away from the entry because I think that is the better half of the 1 and the 1A, and I think that's going to end up being your 8-5, 9-5 favorite, somewhere in that range.
I'm glad you brought up too. The 1-1A, this is the last one I used, and I actually had them off initially because when I'm going through, and I thought, this will probably be too expensive. And I looked at my ticket and go, no, I can add them on. And I'll talk about them quick. I hear you. This is Tyler Gaffaleo, and he's riding as well as anyone right now at Keeneland. Brendan Walsh is 4 for 13 with a pair of runner-ups so far. He's 20%. They're 20% when the two of those guys team up together. If you scratch off the Benson last out, the horse was gifted the lead. There was kind of a little bit of an odd race. This is not a lead here. I don't know why she went to lead. Maybe Raylu was gifted it and thought, well, we're here. We'll try it and see what happens. I don't think that's what we're going to get here. I think we at least see the 3-horse, if no one else, go out and take the lead. But I like that both of this horse's wins have been at Keeneland. She does have a win at the distance. And Walsh took over last summer from Mike Stidham. That's when she's got 2 of her 3 wins. She was 2 for 7. She's 2 for 7 with Brendan Walsh. She was 1 for 9 with Mike Stidham. So I like the fact that all these things kind of are coming together. I actually like Keeper of Time better than I Hear You. Not necessarily in this position. I think Keeper of Time is sitting on a big win. I just keep waiting for her to do it. The Sewanee River Stakes, if you remember, that was the prep for the Pegasus World Cup Filly Mare Turf. And out of that Sewanee River, I said, other than Sweet Melania, I want Keeper of Time because there was no pace to chase. She was coming off of the bench, and she's a deep closer. I thought, listen, you put some speed into a race, and she'll do great. And then she goes on the synthetic at Gulfstream next out, and what happens? Synthetic doesn't hold it 2 turns. Unless you and I are live for a show. And then so she wins. And then she goes to the Buena Vista Stakes, Mike. And then Mike Smith has her in the right position, but she's stuck on the rail. 3 of the 4 horses early, they hit the superfecta. That 4th horse, Mike, you know what happened? That was the one directly in front of Keeper of Time. And when that horse started quitting, Mike Smith had 4 horses in front of him, and they just kept doing this down the front stretch backwards. So I'm going to scratch that off completely. I'm going to use her. The problem is, there still isn't a lot of pace in here. She needs pace. So if you don't want to use 1-1A because you think they're going to be a short price like Mike, I get it. I just give this horse like 5 speed horses to chase.
Yeah, so the reason I think the 1-way is going to be the favorite because of Keeper of Time. I have in my notes, terrible trip, obvious, right? And a lot of times when it says terrible trip, obvious, that means everyone is going to see it. And when everyone sees it, there is no value in knowing there's a terrible trip because it's going to be talked about in the morning. We talked about on the live feed. The Keeneland show will talk about it on Saturday morning. Everyone's going to know Keeper of Time got a shit trip in that race. And the buyer came back good enough for a 5th place finish. And you cross draw line through the synthetic. And the race before that was pretty good. You know what else she hasn't done? Go a mile on 16th.
It's true.
That's a problem for me. This is the first time we're going to try a mile on 16th here. I'm not positive that she wants the distance. And, there's an old adage in horse racing. Never bet the favorite when they're doing something for the first time. You'll hear it all over the place. It's actually a pretty decent rule, especially if it's a shorter price in a competitive field. In this spot, I think the 1-1A is going to be your favorite. I think they're going to be a shorter price. The better of the 2 entries is doing something new for the first time, and I like other horses. So I'm going to leave the 1-1A off, although I understand why people would want to use it. It's just one of those where I think you got to go really short if you're using the 1-1A, or you got to chuck the horses altogether.
What's nice is that this starts off the Big 4 sequence. So when race 6 ends and you get that first click, I'll be able to see the horse is 2-5. If the entry is 2-5, you're probably not going to stay on the ticket. But that's why it's important to watch for those ticks. Also, you remind me of a horse, Keeneland race 2 on Saturday. That was the exact same thing happened where the horse had a bad trip on debut initially, and everyone was like, look how it finished. And the horse was everyone's pick, got hammered way too hard and lost. That's why you don't do it.
The obvious trip troubles, like the first time starter that doesn't break and rushes up and finishes second, the horse that gets completely blocked and everyone notices it, like those horses, they get overbet. And yes, they had troubles trip, and yes, there's a chance that they're going to improve, and there's a reason people are betting them. But it goes back to, like, you not only need to pick winners, you need to understand the value of a winner, right? And if a horse off a troubled trip should be 3-1 and you're getting 7-5, that troubled trip is actually negatively affecting your opinion on that horse. It's not positively affecting it because everyone knows it.
Great explanation. I appreciate that. We're going to move on. Second leg, late pick 4 sequence at Keeneland, race 8, the grade 3 Ben Ali Stakes. 8 older males going 9 furlongs on the dirt here, including Warrant, who was my pick to win the big cap going a mile and a quarter at Santa Anita. Does he get the job done here, Mike?
He does. I mean, this is the race where I'm not going to try and get too creative. I think this is really a 2-horse race. I'm going to go too deep, although I don't love it. I considered singling Warren in this spot, but I am going to use the 3-horse Proxy as well. I think the 2 Mighty Heart is a little interesting as a lone speed candidate, but I think Warren is just the talent of the field. That race at Santa Anita was awesome. This horse was an improving 3-year-old going through the lower ranking 3-year-old races. Really turned a corner later in the season, took a nice step out there at Santa Anita. I think if you do see a replication of that race or any type of step forward, leaves this field in the dust. Yeah,
Warren, and not only that, but Mile and a Quarter, I was like, Mile and a Quarter for this horse, he's by constitution, but for Samurai, I'm like, you start to be a little limited there, and I thought, well, maybe it's not the best field out there. Listen, I've been a little down on Express Train. Express Train's really good. I need to stop, kind of like with 2 Emmys, who we're going to talk about in a minute. I need to stop being so just down on that horse. He's a really good older handicap horse. Now, Warren, I'm going to go ahead.
I don't really love Express Train, but fine.
Compared to who else is out there right now, and I know we just lost one of our favorites, Midnight Bourbon, that we found out today, but it's kind of weak. I will say, Proxy, I agree with you. He is the most talented horse in this field. He's also a complete and utter jackass.
I don't know if he's the most talented.
He's a 3-time allowance winner who is a complete jackass who can't beat really good horses. Really good. Okay, so let's beat Olympiad, Hot Rod Charlie, Midnight Bourbon, Mandaloon, Midnight Bourbon. Okay, so those are all the horses that have beaten him here. I think between Warrant and Mighty Heart, one of those is good enough that's going to beat him. Mighty Heart, to me, is all speed. You got to go gate to wire here, but he's got the potential to do it. I know that he and Cowboy Diplomacy have very comparable time form U.S. pace ratings, but if you look at the way that Colby Hernandez has ridden a lot of times, I know with this horse, he's putting him on the lead, but Colby Hernandez not always goes right to the front. And if he does, he doesn't often know what to do with it. But James Graham riding for Josie Carroll won on this horse in the Blame Stakes going 1 1/8 miles. So this horse can take the distance, can take the speed with the right setup. And I think he's got it here.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is one of those where if either the one or the 2 scratches, all of a sudden you have to reassess even heavier about whether or not you want to play the other for a speed factor. But look, I mean, Warrant could be very good. Like a very good horse. And so for me, with tactical speed, which is key here, he's going to be able to sit close to whoever is on the lead if it's just 1 or 2. And don't forget, we're going 1 1/8 miles here. So a lot of these races we've talked about going 2 turns or 1 1/16, short into the turn, short stretch, favor speed. In this case, we're going 1 1/8 miles. You got the full stretch. It's a more of a fair track in that sense. I think it's going to be tough for either the 5 or the 3 to lose this spot. But you look at Proxy's last race, I mean, pretty good start to the 4-year-old campaign, wins an allowance. And comes back and loses to Olympiad, but only loses by 2 to Olympiad. I consider losing by 2 to Olympiad about the same as losing by a head to Express Train, maybe better than losing by a head to Express Train, because I would take Olympiad over Express Train if they faced today. So for me, I think that the 3 has to be respected in this spot, because if that horse continues to improve and this third off the layoff for a 4-year-old, it's a logical spot for Proxy to continue to improve. And if so, watch out.
That's true. Everything that you said is true. I just hate this horse. He's a jackass. I've been saying since, the Louisiana Derby when he ran poorly. And then after that, the rest of his 3-year-old year, I should say, wasn't quite the same. I was like, can you just snip him? He needs to be snipped, because at this point, I'm not kidding. He is a 3-time allowance winner. And if you don't win this race or get to the point where you watch him in the Ben Ali and go, oh, he's definitely going to win a Greatest Stakes next, they can fix some of the issues he's got up here.
No, you were wildly too early for that. Like, this is Godolphin, who are looking for sires. So you're like,
they've got 30 of them. They don't need freaking Proxy too.
They could need Proxy. See, I think you are really disrespecting the shit out of Proxy here.
Yes.
I do.
He's a jackass. How many times do I have to call him a jackass before you get that I disrespect him?
I realize that, but Tappets get better with age, and they usually get smarter with age and a little headier with age. And if he is able to do that, this is the third. He could run a 108 buyer this year. Not even kidding. If you look at like the logical projections off of his 3-year-old numbers through a 4-year-old season, this could be a Breeders' Cup Classic contender. God, I can't believe I said that of a Proxy. This could be a Breeders' Cup Classic contender if he's able to continue to step forward. And all of your things about him being a head case and being goofy and all that jazz, that means he has more upside. That's all I'm hearing. Because if he figures that out, watch out. Now, here's the other problem. Him winning the Breeders' Cup Classic is worth less than what he's worth in 2 years in stud. So they're not going to fix him just to try and win a Breeders' Cup Classic that they may not win anyway to make less money than 2 years at stud.
I would just like to remind everybody that today is 420. Please do not take every comment that Mike Somich has said here as actual fact as we move on to the
Okay, no. Okay, we can't move on first. We got comments on the thing. Can we go proxy versus express train head-to-head in the Breeders' Cup Classic?
I'll take express train.
Okay, I'll take proxy. Let's do it.
I don't know if either horse even makes it, but
yeah, I'm not sure either does either. But it's a fun enough random wager. Let's do it. What should we talk about?
Let's remember this when Breeders' Cup time. See if he's even around at that point.
Okay, no. Loser has to do 2 bull shots on our Breeders' Cup post fair preview thing, back to back, bam.
And the loser at least pick what the alcohol is.
No. It's a mixture. It's your mixed shot. All right, let's go to the comments.
There we go.
Dynamic one. What do you think, Magic?
Why would I have love for Dynamic One? Is my response to that.
The Curlin was pretty good. Got a 97 buyer, going a mile and 1/8, which is the distance we're going today. 2 for 3 at the distance. I'm not a fan because I think that the New York crop was terrible last year. But if you think that 97 in the Curlin is real, then a step forward here fits. But I would rather get beat by Dynamic One than play him.
He got so lucky that Miles D was going straight from a maiden special weight into the Keeneland Stakes. If Miles D had one race against winners under his belt, he beats the shit out of that horse in the Keeneland Stakes. Miles D is miles better than Dynamic One, especially at age 4.
All right, let's get to the next one because I'm interested in the next one.
Scalding?
Yeah, let's go, Sean. I like it. Scalding was my other horse. He was my third horse if I used a third horse. It's a huge step forward. It is a massive step forward. But this is a Nyquist out of an a Magla d'Oro mare. A Magla d'Oro mare sold for 400,000. And this horse is kind of slowly taking step forward. Beat Dynamic One last time out. So there's a nice plus there. I also think this could be a horse that's going to sit tactically and get first run. So if I don't love the 2 inside horses from a speed perspective, Scalding will sit third. And if Scalding sits third and gets first run, then it's on Proxy and Warrant to get by. So if I was going to use someone, I think it's Scalding who possibly trips out here as my third horse.
He's an interesting one, and I wish we had the. It just sucks we don't have the odds for it because he is intriguing. And I mean, this is the big test, right? But
this is a great pick and pray horse. How about that?
That's a good yes.
You're going to get like 15, 20 to 1. He's not going to be used all that much, and if he takes a step forward, it is logical that this horse wins.
He also beat Dynamic One by a bit. If he was a neck away from beating Dynamic One, I'd say no, but he beat him handily enough. So that's a good spot there. Jason says there's something wrong with one male talking about wanting another male to get snipped. That's just wrong. Listen, I'm realistic. I am realistic, if nothing else, about that.
I mean, I'd consider it right now. I got a kid. We're good to go. Move along.
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. Moving on. Great. The penultimate leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Keeneland on Saturday, April 23rd. Race 9, the Grade 2 Dixiana Elkhorn Stakes going a mile and a half on the turf. And there's 9 older males doing it, Mike. And most of the time you're like, all right, marathon on the turf. It's probably going to be a really slow race. We've got like 4 or 5 horses that want the lead here. Who wants the lead? Let me ask you this. Who do you think actually leads first under the wire?
I mean, 2 Emmys, right? Like, why not? I don't know. There is 4 or 5 speed horses in here. I think it's awfully tough from that perspective. I cannot stop disrespecting 2 Emmys. I'm sorry, 2 Emmys. I apologize for disrespecting you. I will now use you in this spot because you are in the best form of anyone in this race. And the other horse whose form is as good as yours in the back is Channel Maker, who I'm not. Oh, no, I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Actually, I might do it. But this race was my least favorite by far of the 4. I thought this one was tough. I thought that, I don't really love anyone here. The mile and a half makes it kind of confusing, especially with the turf course playing right now. But I'm going to go to Chris's favorite trainer here, Mike Maker, and put Bema's Boy on top on the inside, the one who I think is going to get a pretty good trip. I think you're going to have enough speed. I want a horse that's coming off the pace. Third time out here off a long layoff. I think you're going to see the best race. We've got multiple wins at a mile and a half. And Mike Maker, really good at stretching horses out. Hate the fact it's by Into Mischief, but the fact we've won twice at a mile and a half will allow me to get past that issue. So I'm going to go with Bema's Boy on top on the inside.
There's a strong chance you and I go 4 for 4 with top picks because I just looked at who you've got in the final leg. Yeah, Bema's Boy. I've got some new information for you because you brought a lot of great facts. Umberto Rispoli, riding for Mike,
about the California jockey.
Riding for he's not a California jockey anymore. He's a Kentucky jockey now. He's left. Here's why this guy's a major upgrade, not my California. The statistical proof. How about that? He is 7 for 22 for Mike Maker in turf routes. That's 32%.
Look at the math on Magic.
Look at that. Yes. Anyways, you brought all great points, and I just wanted to add that. Like, watch this, not just for this horse, but watch Reese Booley now that he's going to keep riding for Maker wherever Maker goes, is what it seems like. These turf route numbers for Reese Booley and Maker together, they're not a joke. Keep playing them. Next pick.
You know what? Another Mike Maker stat. He is now 4 for 22 at the meet. So he's getting hot.
Yes.
All of a sudden, after that 1 for 19 start, baby. So he's starting to move it up. My second pick is Two Emmys, because Two Emmys is in the best form of anyone in this race right now. And I'm really sick of not being correct about who gets the lead in these races. And I don't know who's going to get the lead. I give up. I quit. I'm sorry. I don't know. Two Emmys is one of the horses that could. Tiberius Mercurius could. Channel Maker could. I think it's Bama Breeze could. But here's the thing. Right now, the horse in the best form in this race is Two Emmys. So I'm going to use Two Emmys.
That's my second pick. I went too deep. Yeah. Listen, I went into the Muniz Memorial. If you go back and listen to that fair, was that Risen Star Stakes Day or Louisiana Derby Day? I said, I'm done. I'm officially done shitting on Two Emmys. I'm going to use him. And it worked. I still understand that day how it worked so well, but you said it. He's the most proven. He's the most informed of all the speed, the least question marks. The one that I would be a little bit worried about might be Phantom Currency, but he just raced 2 weeks ago, and now he's going to go a mile and a half. And what's funny is if you, when Mike and I got done talking about that weekend at Gulfstream, I said out of that race, I was like, look, he could go to the Elkhorn, but it's a quick turnaround in 2 weeks. Well, he's here.
Yep. I mean, and he ran well there. I mean, 23, 46, 109. If he wants to do that, he's going to get the lead. Yep. It's not going to last a mile and a half, but he'll get the lead. So
right, that's the thing. Yeah.
It's really going to be a question of how these jockeys try and rate it out. And I kind of agree. I mean, Vauchon's like my burner account right now. I kind of agree with Vauchon that size is going to be aggressive on Channel Maker, because that's really what gets the job done. And what you see in these races is whoever's the most aggressive in the first 16th of a mile gets the lead, and then no one wants to press. Everyone wants to just slow it down. And that's why you see these dawdling internal fractions, these mile and a half races. I think you're going to see that again here. I think Channel Maker's a logical one. I'm going to throw the 5 in because of that. I think he might make the lead. I also think if he sits second behind Phantom Currency, or Two Emmys does, either of them has a very good chance of passing Phantom Currency, because there's a lot to ask. Second off a layoff, quick turnaround, going wire to wire at a mile and a half over a turf course that isn't necessarily playing towards speed right now. I'm going to go 4 deep here. I'm going to use the 9 Another Mystery. This is the horse I should have used at NHC, and I did not. I'm kind of bummed about it because it won at 16-1. Actually, I would have been even more bummed it lost the photo if I had used it. This horse likes going a mile and a half. Done it 5 times in his career, 1 win, 1 second. Kind of fits for the come from behind setup here. The race 2 back at Houston was pretty good. And this is a big time jockey upgrade. But you know what else I'm interested in? Pratt has ridden this horse before, which tells me that Pratt believes in this horse. And that, to me, is awfully interesting. You don't often see Chris Block and Flavian Pratt team up. Chris Block, actually pretty good trainer. 5 for 26, 19% so far. This is a horse is owned by Chris Block, so it's not like they're just throwing this horse in there for absolutely no reason. And one of the crazy numbers here, 15% in graded stakes, $8.66 ROI in those graded stakes. Pretty darn good for Chris Block. Now, obviously, Another Mystery winning at 16-1 helped those numbers. But I think this horse fits at this mile and a half distance. If we do see horses up front speed it up a little bit, I think Another Mystery is one of ones could come from way out of it and could get a decent setup and trip here. And since I'm going 2 deep in the previous leg, I'm going to go 4 deep here.
Listen, I don't hate it. I think you're going to get a good price on this horse too. That day that Pratt rode at Arlington, that was the final day that was the final Mr. D Stakes, Arlington Million Day Stakes. He also rode Shantasara to win the Pucker Up Stakes earlier, and was famously on domestic spending when he was beaten by who, Mike?
3 Emmys? That was 1 Emmy. That was his first win, right?
That was his first Emmy. Yeah. Now he's 2 Emmys.
That was the first of the 2 Emmys when he's got beaten me, when he went like 145 for 6 furlongs or whatever ridiculously slow pace it was, and Pratt just missed him by a nose.
Bree's keeping the Pratt Daddy thing going. Bree, I love it. Thank you for keeping this going. All right, let's move on. We have the final leg of the late pick 4 sequence here at Keeneland, Saturday, April 23rd, race 10. This is my favorite final leg we've had in a very long time that wasn't a stakes race. Mike, we've got 11 3-year-olds running 7 furlongs on the dirt. It's a fun non-winners of 1 allowance. These aren't maiden claimers, state breds. No. We've got proven winners, 3-year-olds, all straight 3-year-olds going 7 furlongs here. And Is your top pick the 1A, Great Escape, Momentous?
Second pick.
Oh, Mike, we almost went 4 for 4. Okay. All right, I'll let you talk about your top pick then. I
thought we were going to go 4 for 4 when you mentioned this because it's the Pratt horse. Shocker. Look, B-Sud, I really like the debut effort. Was at Keeneland, ends up running third in a race, which produces 2 next out winners, was able to make the lead. Second time out at Churchill, goes 7 furlongs, able to get the job done. What I love about that, okay, is you have a nice, obvious progression between those 2 races, okay? You've got a first race out, second race, big time step forward. Then we take a long break. We run first race out. We almost match that winning race. Guess what's going to happen when we run again? Big step forward. And if that happens, B-Sud is going to win by open lengths. And I'm hoping we can get like 4-1 here. That's like, because I feel like there's enough in here, including an absolutely awful favorite, which is going to be the favorite. I think it's going to be the favorite. And so I'm hoping that we get B-Sud here at that 4-1-ish price, breaking out of the 9 spot. I did go too deep in my must uses, but to me, the 9 was a horse you have to use in this spot.
Boy, you saw all the same things I did. What concerns me is some of the horses this horse beat, specifically Unpredictable Bay was a horse that Aaron drafted in the fantasy league. And I was like, I've never heard of this. It's because he'd run, I think, 13 times as a 2-year-old. So not a huge fan of that horse. But listen, everything that you said, man, this is mirroring how he debuted, right? 6-7, 6-7. You're going to take a nice step forward. Oh, by the way, Pratt's aboard. So all great points. Let's talk about your second pick, my top choice. I thought we'd go 4 for 4. Great Escape and Momentous. Which of the 2 horses do you like better? Because I'll let you talk about that one.
I like the 1A.
You like the 1A Momentous better. Good, because I like Great Escape better.
All right. You can kick it off with Great Escape, then I'll talk.
Perfect. Great Escape broke his maiden, going 7 furlongs on second asking. This is one of the biggest key races of the entire crop that we have as 3-year-olds right now from their 2-year-old season. Here's why. 6 of the 9 horses that he beat that day broke their maiden since, including Giant Game, 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Call Me Midnight, won the Grade 3 Lecomte Stakes. Surfer Dude, multiple stakes placed, including 2 weeks ago at Keeneland in the Lafayette Stakes. Bloodline got 2nd in the Texas Turf Mile Stakes after breaking his maiden. Oh, yeah, Epicenter was in that race. Mike, is Epicenter any good? Because Epicenter's coming out of that September 18th, 2021 race as well. If you scratch off that last effort when he tried synthetic, it was a terrible idea. If you forget the fact that they went maiden to Breeders' Futurity Grade 1, that was a terrible idea. Now we're back to 7 furlongs. We're back to 1 turn, where both of his 1-turn races pretty darn good when you look at what he's doing at 2. Plus the fact that Tawny Port won the Lexington and he was 2nd in the Jeff Ruby, if you want to count that as a plus as well. But those are all the reasons why I really love Great Escape here.
I'm not going to disagree with any of them. I do think like he came out of a really key maiden race is one of the more overused things when we're 6 races into the career now. We have a pretty good sample size of what this horse is. So the fact that Epicenter, who I'm guessing debuted in that race, was facing a horse that had already run once. And to me, that I get what you're saying, but like, let's tone it down a little bit. Now, I would say one of your biggest arguments is they're getting back to like reasonably placing this horse. You mentioned how they put this horse right into a Grade 1, going 1.16 miles, comes out of that, goes 1.16 miles. They clearly wanted this to be a Derby horse, right? We realize this ain't a Derby horse. This is a Pat Day Mile horse if we were going to run on Derby weekend. But we decided not to do that. We're showing up here at 7
which
furlongs.
Is also smart. We're here, not there.
Wouldn't be shocked if we scratch here and actually see this horse place something like that. Look, Rubos Brissett doesn't usually aggressively place horses like this. And that's what really popped out to me when I was looking at Great Escape. Usually he's looking for more realistic spots, and then he'll take his shot. But to me, getting back to 7 furlongs is the big thing. You look at the 1.16 at Oaklawn, he's in the lead, ends up not being able to get the distance. You look at the 1.16 at Keeneland, he's close up front, fades late. You even look at the Jeff Ruby Stakes at Turfway Park there. He's up close and then fades back toward the last part of the race. Like I don't think this horse wants anything to do with 2 turns. I think this is a 1-turn horse. I think we're going to see that. I don't love the draw. I don't like the rail here going 7 furlongs, but I do think that, this is a talented horse, and I like the 1A more, so I'll talk about the 1A now. Monumentus is the one that I was interested in the group here. This horse breaks its maiden in February, was impressive, being able to go gate to wire from the 10 post. Marsalis is in that race, wins back, major contender in that race as well. Then works up to this race and shows back up here going 7. I like the fact that we're taking a step forward. I think this horse is probably your fastest horse, breaking from what will be the 10 post, I believe. And if we can get to the lead in a race where I was not like blown away by any of the speed here, I think this horse could be awfully dangerous to take him gate to wire. And I think you could see a big time step forward. It's a homebred, or this is a Windstar Farm horse, homebred by Boone Chance Farm. At some point, Windstar must have bought in there. I mean, like, I'm not sure who's faster, and I don't see any reason why this horse is going to slow down toward the end of the race.
The only reason, I think the biggest reason that I like the 1 over the 1A was just the lack of experience. What we've seen with Todd Pletcher's horses, when they have that nice maiden win, they haven't always come back and done very well, but he is something he can do, right? And this isn't going to a graded stakes race. We're going to a sensibly spotted position here. You mentioned the runner-up, Marsalis, got an 81 buyer, broke maiden next out at Fairgrounds by 2.5 lengths. And when I first looked at this, I was like, why did Pletcher have a horse at Fairgrounds? Why did he do that if it was any good? Mike, that was Risen Star Stakes Day. He also had Turner Luce get second and Pioneer of Medina get fourth in the Risen Star. So that's why Todd Pletcher brought this horse to Fairgrounds with his Derby and Oaks horses. So yeah, I like Momentous.
And we often talk about how you'll debut on big days with good horses. I mean, that's kind of what I think we saw with Momentous. And I agree, like, Momentous to me was always a sprinter, and they knew that. That's why you're not getting crazy aggressive here with the placement, right? They never thought this was a Triple Crown horse. They're like, hey, this is a 1-turn, 7 furlong mile horse. It has a monster Tomlinson number, by the way. I think it's like 419 or something. It's 409 on Momentous, which is by far the highest in the field. So is bred to love the 7 furlong distance. I think it's going to flourish at 1 turn. It's going to be awfully tough up front. So yeah, I'm using the 9 on top, but the 1 and 1A, I have the 1A and then 1 in parentheses as my must uses. And then I'm going to go to the 2 horse, Condemn here. I'm going to go 4 deep in this spot. That last race I thought was really impressive coming from way off it. If you look back at who this horse faced, Ottoman Empire, Texas Red Hot, then Rattle and Roll, pretty good horses that he faced early. And then a monster effort there. First time Lasix, first time blinkers. And you saw a huge step forward. And to me, that is where I think you kind of have to respect Condemn. If you'd see another step forward, second time Lasix, second time blinkers, which some people argue is a bigger jump than first time of either of those, this horse could be an absolute monster. And you're going to get a decent price on it because we're coming out of a 5.5 furlong off the turf, maiden special weight, where this horse came from dead last. So I think you're going to get a decent price on the 2 Condemn. I think it's worth taking a flyer.
As my dog speak up too. Fun fact about Condemn, one of the horses he beat in that off turf race, which is why I didn't want to use him here, is a horse named Lapis Lazuli, who you famously said, I'm glad we don't have time on Monday's show to talk to you about why I hate this horse, because he's not going to win the finale at Keeneland on Wednesday. And he did. So,
key race? You know what you're saying? Key race?
Key race. Yeah. No, yeah. I'm against Condemn because that was an off-turf field that he beat, but it was on fast dirt. The horse ran well, which you like to see, visually ran well. And you brought up the class and company this horse had been keeping as a 2-year-old. I'm going to pass, but I get why you would want to use the horse here. I did go with the 3. You want to say the 3's horse name? Unique?
Unique. Yeah.
Unique. Okay. And I think you probably think this horse is going to be favored. I think you're right. I get why you would want to play against. This was my last horse on. I'll tell you why I like him, and then you can tell me why I'm an idiot. But first off, you've got a maiden winner versus winners next out, but you're doing that with Condemn, so I'm not too worried. The horse is exiting a sloppy race. I haven't actually looked to see what Lexington's weather is going to be, but I'm guessing it's
sunny all weekend.
Sunny all weekend. All right, so we're not getting the slop. However, the horse did have a decent debut, set the pace, and then faded. Got a 79 buyer. That 90 buyer is the best in the field, and that's probably a huge reason why this horse will be, if not favored on the morning line, will definitely get probably over bet. Buyers get heavily bet. However, the race has been kind of okay, Mike. You've had 4 horses break their maidens out of that race. Under Oath won last Saturday at Keeneland by 1.5 lengths with an 87 buyer. And this horse beat that horse by a little over 2.25 lengths. So
how did Cape Trafalgar do?
Oh, Cape Trafalgar is freaking terrible.
Okay, just checking.
So 4 horses broke their maiden. The second place horse, he was third. It wasn't terrible, but was the 2 to 5 favorite? Yeah.
Yeah, he was a bad 2 to 5 favorite.
Yeah. So iffy. There are a horse that will be a very short price. I agree with you, or too short of a price for what the true value odds will be. I understand there are question marks enough to make you say I don't want to use. I am using, but I get why you would be against.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. We've had a couple next out winners here, but one of them was on synthetic going 5.5. Another one was a maiden optional claiming going 6.5. And then there was Under Oath, who Flavian Pratt rode. And so the two of the three winners doing something completely different, right? So I don't really care that they won back. And Cape Trafalgar was so bad. I mean, he was so bad. That to me is the biggest knock on why I don't want to use this horse. Everyone's going to see Under Oath. They're going to see it in Italis. Everyone's going to see Cape Trafalgar. We ran second, I think, in that race at 2-5. But it was really terrible 2-5, whatever it was, second, third. They're going to remember the name and think the horse got bad. Oh, this is a great race. We should totally be like, and then you're going to see Irad picking up the mount, and you're going to be like, this is awesome. What if the horse just stepped up because of the slop? You have absolutely no proof that the horse wants to run on fast dirt. And like, to me, like this is going to be your 9-5 favorite, 8-5 favorite in a difficult race. No, I don't want any interest. If it, like this is one of those, like we talked about beep beep. I was like, look, if beep beep beats me, whatever, don't care. That's fine. If Uniki beats me, don't care. That's fine. Like this horse is allowed to beat me every single time at sub 2-1 because this is a horse I never think should be bet down sub 2-1.
That's a great point. And listen, if this horse bites me in the ass, I didn't single. I have this horse technically third in the betting choice here, but fourth overall rating. I think I'm going to use kind of defensively. You bring up great points. And the freaking problem, we just talked about it with the first leg, is that everyone's going to watch Keeneland and everybody's going to talk about what they saw or how great it looks. And are you telling me I'm a basic bitch when it comes to handicapping? Is that what I'm hearing?
Ticket structure, yes. Handicapping, no. You've evolved in the handicapping side. On the ticket structure side, you're defensively using your fourth choice, who's a terrible favorite at 9-5. That's a bad decision. But whatever,
Progress, Mike.
Yeah.
Baby steps. Maybe next 420 I'll have ticket structure figured out.
I mean, to me, that's the problem. Look, you could make an argument that this is the most likely winner. The problem is that there is no way in hell this horse wins 33% of the time. And that's about what you would need to have a fair odds. And then to say it's your fourth choice, which means you like other horses more, and you're going to put on a horse that is a negative EV onto your ticket because you're scared of him, is like the definition of not correct ticket structure. That's all. That's all I'm saying. If he was your top choice, I'd be like, okay, I get it. Best horse, you like him the most. Okay, use him. It's when it's the fourth choice and you're like, hey, I like these other horses more. And I really love the one Great Escape, but I'm scared of the three. It's like, come on.
Listen, you and I went 3 for 3 with our top picks, and then this last one it fell apart. So I feel like I need to just cover my ass as much as. Okay, you've got one more horse to talk about. I don't want to skip over the 4 tough to tame because I was back and forth about using. Maybe you can actually convince me to put him on.
Well, I mean, I don't know. If I can't convince you to get rid of the 3, I'm not sure if I can do anything. Tough to tame. I've totally talked Uniki in the winner's circle, by the way. Just hammer the shit out of that horse. This is a horse that was clearly well thought of in the Christopher Davis barn. And as a 2-year-old, went to the Iroquois, ran second to Major General, steps all the way up to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. That race has come back pretty crappy, but we're not going to go there right now. The fact that they believed in this horse enough to put him into that race tells me quite a bit about it. Then you have this debut at Tampa, which wasn't wonderful. It was good, but not wonderful, right? It almost replicated the career best buyer. Then they send this horse to Keeneland, which is the first interesting thing. And the horse bullets over the Keeneland track. That's the second interesting thing. And now they put him in here. You're not claiming this horse for $80K. No one's jumping in for it. So you're trying to get this horse eligible for some other conditions as well. To me, this horse makes a ton of sense from that perspective here. So I do think that Tough to Tame has a big-time chance to take a step forward. Second time out as a 3-year-old, and he's going to be awfully lined for a barn that's 17% second out, off a bullet workout, and should kind of sit the trip here. I mean, it has tactical speed, so should be able to sit in 4th or 5th spot and be able to make a nice move around the turn, be close enough to be engaged with the leaders, but not close enough that I think you're going to get burnt up. And I think you're going to get a big price on the 4. I think you're going to end up seeing something like 15-1 morning line. I think it's worth every penny of that.
Bet Mitch, get rich. That's how you do it. You never bet Mitch Merle on a favorite, but you always bet him in a long game. That is he is good on long shots. He gets great value out of his horses. I think.
Do you think that's true, or do you think you just get reminded every time he wins?
I think I just get reminded every time he wins. I don't watch Mitch Merle like 99% of the time, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I watch California in the big races. That's what I watch. Sorry. What I ultimately left Tough to Tame off is that Breeders' Cup Juvenile effort. I mean, and you could say he just didn't show up because he did show up against Major General and almost beat him. And Major General hasn't turned into a Derby winner, but I'd say Major General is better than everything that's come out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, right? Like he came back and actually was decent in the Lexington to get. Was he second in that race?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that like I'm willing to just draw a line through it. He might have hated Delmar. A lot of horses hate Delmar. He wasn't that close to the lead. He might not want to go 2 turns over that track. Like that track was speed favoring that weekend. There's a bunch of different things that you could say that are the reason that horse didn't run well. To me, it's the fact that why did we ship here from Tampa off of that effort? It's because you think the horse is live, and then the horse runs a bullet, which tells me that the horse is live. I think it's worth a flyer here at a big number.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show, at least in terms of the ticket structure talk here. Chris with a great comment. Mike going after Magic's ticket structure more so than Maker went after my picks today. I was like, I think Mike's mad that I just called him out for his 420 proxy winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. By the way, it's on Twitter. Please go retweet that at Curtis Keller. Let everybody know that Mike has made that definitive statement on the Magic Mike Show today.
No. That I have proxy over Express Train in the Breeders' Cup Classic. It's a key point that Express Train is the other horse that's in this head-to-head wager.
That's not what I see. This is not at all what I see. But hey, we will give our tickets one last time. Take a look below if you're watching a live or the replay. I'll start off. I'm going to go 1-1A, 3-5 with 2-5 with 1-3, then 1-1A, 3-4-9. That's $24. Sorry, I thought I fixed that.
I'm gonna play a 50-cent ticket. I'm gonna go 5-6-7 with 3-5 with 1-3-5-9 with 1-2-4-9. That'll cost you $48 for 50 cents. We both really like. Who do we really like in the first race? I can't even remember now.
Games Mission.
Yeah, we both like the 3. So if you want to play a $5 ticket, play 3 with 5 with 1-3 with 1-9. That'll cost you $20 for $5.
Perfect.
Could return some coin.
But put that in pressed. That's a 5. That's what that is. And this is fantastic radio. Thank you, everybody who's been listening on the podcast version. I'm sure this is just enthralling for you. All right, there we go. I've got it updated now down below. That's going to do it for at least this part of things. If you were just here for the Keeneland Saturday talk, thanks for joining us. Go over to youtube.com/racingdudes. We've got all shit ton of Kentucky Derby analysis at literally the top 24 points as of today, April 20th. We have videos that will be either up or soon to be up for those. So make sure you go check that out. But Mike, we got to go over the rails.
No antics of any kind except speed, and there we go with the antics.
Over the rail with you, my love.
It never gets old. Last Saturday, race 4, I believe it was at Keeneland. Race 5, I'm sorry, you got pulled up here on April 16th. Mike, there were not 1, not 2, but I think 18 horses out of this race that you liked. I'll turn it over to you, please.
Yeah, so first off, I often try and find key races before they're key races. If you're able to do so, it gives you a huge edge long term. So when I'm doing that, one of the first things I look for is, okay, who wins the race? And do I believe that horse is going to be one of those horses that can turn out a key race? In this case, the 5th race at Keeneland on April 16th, your eventual winner of the race was Limited Liability. Now, if you go back and you look at Limited Liability and the 2-year-old season, the horse ran in the With Anticipation, then ran in the Pilgrim. This is a Shug horse out of Kitten's Joy, or a Shug horse was a son of Kitten's Joy, missed a coinage in Annapolis in those 2 races. So clearly very good horses. The 6-horse Limited Liability comes back and wins this race. So that right there tells me, first off, we have a solid winner that I believe in. So that's number one thing I'm looking for in a key race is, do I really believe in the winner? And then it's who runs behind it. In this case, we had a host of horses that I think make a ton of sense. The first one I'm going to point out here is going to be the 11 horse in this spot. That's going to be Churchtown. We've talked about how bad Speed's been playing. Churchtown, who is breaking right here in the red cap and the black, is a horse that's wanted to be on the lead consistently. And it has been in every other race, but because of the instructions of the trainer, really gets pulled back. And so you're going to see the horse fight with Paco here into the first turn, then goes to the rail, still doesn't settle into the second turn. So Churchtown, I think, should hopefully next time out should go to the lead. And that's a horse I like, especially if we cut back. If we end up at Gulfstream going 7.5 or a mile, Churchtown's one of those horses I think makes a ton of sense. So I'm going to stable up the 11 Churchtown for that reason. You're also going to see, of all the speed, when we go into the lane here, Churchtown is going to run absolutely the best. The second horse out of this race that I want to take a nice quick look at here is Credit Event. This horse won over the synthetic at Gulfstream Park to break its maiden for Chad Brown. In this replay, it's the 4-horse. And so if we watch the 4-horse right down here on the rail, Credit Event is going to be trying to find a way through and gets absolutely stopped. So you'll see right now the 6 is in dead last, and the 6 is going to start to make a wide run here in a second. The 4-horse Credit Event is sitting on the rail, and it's going to try and come up the rail and gets stopped, I think, 3 or 4 times here. Tyler Gaffalione got this horse in a ton of trouble. We have no clue how good this horse is. That's my main takeaway here. You never really got to see Credit Event run. And because of that, we don't really know how good Credit Event is, but we know on paper this race is going to look terrible. Ends up finishing third to last as your favorite. And you're like, oh, he's got room right here. Nope. Gets shut off right down. And then the 11 is going to dip down into the 4. And it's just backing it up from there. And right here, you're going to see Tyler Gaffney enough to absolutely stand up on the horse down the stretch. Now, we're coming down the lane here, and you see the 6 limited liability absolutely stormed by everybody else. There's 2 other horses in here that I'm interested coming back. So we're going to pull this back a little bit. And we're going to focus on both the 2 horse, who right here is on the outside, making a little bit of an early move going 4 wide, and the 7 horse, who made a really early move going about 6 wide here on the way outside. And you can see right in front of the 7. So the 2 horse in this spot is going to be your eventual second place finisher, Freedom's Way, out of the Eddie Keneally barn. And your 7 is going to be Merci. This was first off a long layoff for Merci for Christophe Clement. Merci, I think, is the one I want more out of this. I think that move was way too early and just kind of flattened out. Second time off the layoff, I think you're going to see a much better race. Also got shut off there a little bit in between the 6 and the 2, and then continued to rally afterward. So second off the layoff, I think you're going to see this horse probably in New York next, either at Belmont or at Belmont or at Saratoga. And when you do, I think you're going to see a pretty big effort from the 7. Again, we'll run it back here toward when they come to the top of the lane. Note that the 2 horse was 5 wide on both turns and ends up having to try and make up some ground, or 5 wide on the second turn, ends up trying to make up some ground here late. I love the fact of how the 2 grinds it out. It looks like the 2 is almost in trouble here, but as soon as the 6 engages the 2, you see a nice move here from the 2 to spread himself from the rest of the field and run with the 6. I think the 6 simply got to the lead too fast. And a lot of times you'll see that where a horse gets the lead too early and just isn't able to win the race. In this case, the 2 horse, I think, had that problem. So Freedom's Way is another one that I want to stable up. That was only Size's second time riding this horse. The last time he rode him, the horse was able to win and was able to get to the lead late into the stretch. And I think that's the kind of key with Freedom's Way here. I think because of the trip, he was forced to get to the lead a little bit too early. So coming out of this race, I like the winner. And that's one of the main reasons I think this could turn out to be a key race. That's limited liability. I think that you got to look at the 11. Churchtown is one that you want next time out, shortening up, especially if you can get the lead going over the turf course. Really interested in what Credit Event does next. That horse had absolutely no chance in this spot, ends up running third to last. I think it should have a good chance to take a step forward off it. The 7, Merci, I think is going to have a big-time effort next time out for Christophe Clement. That'll be second off the layoff. And also I like the 2 horse here, Freedom's Way, who ran second. So this, to me, is a race which I think is going to end up being a key race, and you're going to want to stable quite a few out of.
We just do this. I'm not muted. I just can't. I'm speechless. There's a difference. You're used to see me do that, but there's no sound because I'm muted. No, I'm just speech. This was fantastic. I'm like watching everything and I'm trying to take notes. And yeah, no, this is fantastic. I hope you guys, everybody's watching and listening, that you're really taking in the information that Mike's giving you. And what's nice about doing this on YouTube, if you can watch the video, is Mike's explaining things as it's happening here. Charles brings up Credit Event. Needed Credit Event to cash the pick 5. The horse was 3-2 favorite off of a synthetic debut win. That's how much Chad Brown, we talked about at Gulfstream, how much he hated the turf course there. Like, he's putting his best turf horses on the synthetic at Gulfstream. Look at Credit Event. This horse, I mean, I know he didn't win, but like, he put this horse on synthetic to debut, and he waits for the turf debut to come at Keeneland. So that alone speaks volumes about that horse to me.
And like I said at the top, too, one of the keys is that this is limited liability that won, right? This is a shook-trained horse. It's Kitten's Joy out of a Blame mare for Stuart Janney, homebred by Stuart Janney. When he keeps horses, generally they're very good. Broke its maiden at Saratoga on debut, came back to a grade 3 stakes where he was 85 cents on the dollar favorite, ends up running third to Coinage and Portfolio Company, runs back in a grade 2, runs third to Annapolis and Portfolio Company, some of the better 2-year-old horses in New York on turf. And this is the debut for 3-year-olds. So you know the 6 has quality and is good. And that allows you to really take note of a lot of the horses that ran underneath.
If you have Equibase Virtual Stable, you can add these horses and make notes to it. If you have an account with a past performances company like DRF, you can make notes about that. This is the kind of stuff when you should be doing this, because these horses, multiple horses from this race, are going to show up at Belmont, at Saratoga, and not in allowance races. These are going to be stakes horses from this field, and you're going to get prices at 10-1, 12-1, 20-1. And at least one of these is going to pop at a big price. Don't be that person just sitting there going, I wish I knew this. I wish I figured it out. All you had to do was just listen to Mike Somich tell you about why all of these horses were great coming out of this spot. So tons of great information, Mike. Thank you for doing that. And the preparation and everything too. I know you had to, how many times did you watch that replay? 12, 13?
Well, I watched it a couple. That, to me, like I said, that is one of those races. Rarely do you find a race like when you watch it. And I tweeted out right afterward, That's a key race. I thought that was immediately a key race because of who won and all the different trips that you got behind it, and then how much, like how funky a lot of those trips were, and then just how the turf course is playing. And like, we didn't even talk about the time either. I mean, they flew home, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they went 114, 137, so 23-3, 143-3. They went 5.45 seconds for the final 16th of a mile. So they were absolutely flying home there late too. It wasn't just, okay, this is a good race. It was, these times are exceptional for this level of horse.
Just, yeah. Well, and limited liability, the opening quarter was like 26 flat for that horse. He was he was dawdling at the back, but man, that burst, that turn of foot, that's going to be real exciting come Saratoga. And we hope that you had an exciting time with us on the Magic Mike Show. We got a guy. Oh, shoot, it's past 3. We definitely got a guy here. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. You can follow us on Twitter. I am at Curtis Kalleward. He is at Somobomb 18, number 1, number 8, Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. Remember, today's Wednesday, so tomorrow, Thursday, we have Blinkers Off and Dudes Who Bet Sports will both be live at youtube.com/racingdudes. So go subscribe there. Click the notification bell. You'll be alerted when any of us go live. Like, hey, a surprise 420 show. Here we are, Mike. It was a lot of fun. I know my ego took a little bit of a beating there on the ticket strap. I'm kidding. I have no ego. There is no ego to be beaten. It's fine. Really appreciate everybody for joining us. We had a lot of fun in the comments. We'll be back on Monday, and let's make that a Derby-centric show, Mike, because this past Monday, we were like, let's do Keeneland and maybe Derby. We could have easily done an hour of Derby. So next Monday, bring all of your Derby questions, your thoughts, your hot takes for the Magic Mike Show at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, and we'll be ready for you. Until then, I'm Magic. Sorry.
And I'm Mike. And go ahead. You can dip. Don't forget, if you have any questions, if you're listening to the podcast version of this, shoot us an email at either magicmike@racenews.com, I think that is, or contact@racenews.com. Drop us a DM, whatever you want. Make sure that you can ask any questions about the Derby you want, or if you want to bring back life advice. If anyone wants life advice from Magic and I, feel free to shoot some questions that way. We'll handle that and Over the Rails on Monday as well.
Yeah, we had answered questions about bachelor party ideas in Saratoga. I've got a couple ideas too for questions that I might submit. I'll submit them under like a fake name.
I like it. If you've never heard life advice on the Ryan Russillo podcast, I don't listen to I think it's in some of them is interesting, but the life advice sections, like the last 20 minutes of each podcast, is freaking hilarious. It's amazing. So listen to that. It might give you some ideas. We're here to help with all your in-law problems.
Oh boy. Yeah. Anyways, we'll be back on Monday. Send us those emails. Contact@racingnews.com. We'll see you on Monday. Take care.
This has been a presentation of RacingDudes.com, your destination for all things horse racing and sports betting. Whether you want free winners, expert insider picks, up-to-the-minute trackside weather reports, or podcasts and videos for bettors of all skill levels, never make another wager without visiting the Racing Dudes. First,